I want to talk about what I want to do before I pass away. I don't know how long, but assuming 3-5 years, maybe a little longer, nobody knows. In the past, I've been checking every day, every 3-4 months, and also a little longer term, but reflected on the life profile that I shared in the video, monitoring 6 items, and I've been doing for the last 20-some years after I had the awakening experience. Now, well, also at age 60, I wrote something to summarize up to then, and then what to expect. So 76, so 15 years later, or something of that nature. Not reflecting the past as much, but into the future, I want to summarize. 1, I want to have the sense of being with the nature's way, which means something much, 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 much bigger, infinitely bigger than me and much more intelligent and compassionate than me. That is nature's way, I feel, is operating throughout, except I may drift away, and therefore I need to reconnect every now and then, say by the meditation, or put myself in the state of samadhi. No mind, no self, connect to the heart, nature's way. And that would orient me into the right direction, I believe. So I'll keep doing it. That's the foundation, which is to say that at the point of my last breath, I'm totally with it and say thank you, farewell, end of life. But I continue to live, not me, but as me replaced or originally with this way of universe, the nature would move on. So I'm riding with that. If I use the Shin Buddhism, Saichi, as an example, Myokonin, he had the death of his self, that's what he said, and let the Amida's vow to take over, which is to help him. So his life was carried on by Amida, except that he, every now and then, he get drifted off. So one of the paintings someone drew, Saichi asked him to put the horn because he's got delusionary thought after the moment of awakening, or Shinjin Ketsujo, that's in Japanese. They say in Shin Buddhism that is, or other word, Eshin, mind flips. So he's not there, and his being is replaced by Amida, which is the same as what I said, the law of nature, or the God, if you like, the way of the universe, because that carried us on here, and our life is like a bubble, and we think bubble is everything, but that's not the case, and the bubble knows that the bubble is part of this whole ocean, the way of universe. So be comfortable with the way of universe and farewell. So that's the ending part. And the rest is to froth bubbles. And the bubbles may come and go, but roughly speaking, I may be able to point few. I'm just doing this as I think, as I am. So one thing I would do is, just a while ago, I was doing some work for fishing. No, this is spearfishing, diving. And that represent my childlikeness, playful, and having fun, into samadhi, devoting, and into the zone to experience it and also prepare it. And my physical strength will deteriorate, so I have to monitor carefully. So that may actually come next to important things, because if I want to do something, including this spearfishing or whatever, I don't want to kill, but that's another story, the fish. But the health is important to go with the first one, because if I'm violating to do something not quite right and hurt my life to be shortened, that's not so smart. And for me to be aware of how deteriorating I am, whether it's cognitive or within the body, the organs, I have this sense that if you have in samadhi moment, often you detect the bottleneck of the mind connection to the heart, but also bottleneck within the body itself. And there's a relationship with the mind, because the mind can affect certain behavior of the lung or the stomach and stuff like that. So the mind being clear would help me to see what's inside my body, to detect within the body what's the potential bottleneck. And I tend to believe if I have this mission which is aligned to the way of the universe, well, that's another important point that I want to make sure that I've talked about. But with that being in line to the way of the universe, the whole thing should be aligned, will be aligned to may all beings be happy as the idea, excluding little fish. I'm joking here. But with my skills and my construct to be able to do that, which means I'm attentive to whatever the bottleneck that may show up in my body. So health, in terms of the physical health in the body, but it's related to mental, is detected if I'm being sincere and truthful to practice samadhi, no self, no ego. Then I would notice. Let me think. Anything. I'll just give one example that I tend to have not, straight backbone, and tend to be a little bit like this, couched. I don't know if that's the word. So I put the word that this is something I want to work on to change my habit. And I can show you, it's posted a couple places, and I realize I'm changing quite a bit. And the changing habit is not necessarily easy, but with the determination and the wish of what you want to be and do and be healthy, you can work on it. Like my exercise I shared in the video, Tai Chi, yoga, resistance exercise. So all the activities physically and mentally reflect on the physical symptom, and being sensitive, aware of in the state of samadhi, I can sense it before it gets bigger. That's my sense. It's like a blockage. Maybe the breathing into the lung is not as normal. What would be an example? I had one. Anyway, my black dot exercise and the checking every day of the physical sense, and also what I'm doing, yoga, Tai Chi, and so forth, and there's a relationship of what I do and what's the symptom, like my shoulder, yeah, that's right, neck was hurting a bit, or something like that. And then I shift or put more emphasis in that area to be like the case of the posture, be attentive and even to emphasize certain exercise related to that. So, being the state of samadhi would expose the area blocking the situation or the bottleneck to be healthy or to achieve the mission that I want to do before my death. And therefore, you're basically preparing to die when everything is done. not possible, but at least humanly possible, so that everything falls down at the same time. Just like a car. The car, when I was in the college, I listened to this material science, whatever the term. And one thing I remember is that when you design a car, at the end of life of the car, you want to have everything to be consumed. So it's kind of like that my life would be done all I could. With that is a consideration of health and related to the samadhi and being aware of what's going on with no mind and no self. Therefore, I can be more objectively assessing and feeling if there's certain signal, then I would adjust to that. So if I'm intelligent, smart enough, I can accomplish that. All done. Mission accomplished. All the function accomplished. And here you go. I think that makes sense. And the way I've been approaching is in that direction. And as in the case of this posture, it may not be easy. And it won't be easy, but accepting and making the right effort. So I need to be internally focused, but also externally have some relationship so that my vision is connected to the hopefully the may all beings be happy kind of a notion for the world to continue moving forward and do my mission while I can in the area that I feel it most meaningful. So I was talking about the physical and mental health connected to that. And the vision I mentioned about, or the mission I mentioned was may all beings be happy. In which area? Well, what I do in YouTube is in that area, which is about, how can I say, being sincere and truthful to relate to the origin of who we are, connected to the heart, listen to, and use the brain in the area that suit to accomplish, align with what I can do and possibly the most benefit that can have for the society. By the way, I have this living will, living trust established. So it's already clear how my inheritance may go, and it's aligned to that vision. So I'm working in that direction. Mission, health, mind, physical, mental, PDCA, Plan, Do, Check, Act, Shila, Samadhi, Panya, acting on everyday basis, including what I like to do, to have fun and healthy in samadhi, but also in the area like I do in this YouTube, to reflect on where I am, what I do, why it makes sense or not, and hopefully contribute. So that activity, I'm not going to write any more books, but this will be, well, I might still, but because I have some idea, but that's just the means. But the direction is keep PDCA, Plan, Do, Act, check, always starting with check. The same with the Siddha Samadhi Panya, always clarifying what's important and how to not make the same mistake again. and keep practicing. Repetition is the mother of success. So that's the vehicle, the principal way in the area of the mental, physical, and the vision, and to balance out the portfolio of what I have on my plate, including those 6 items I shared in the life profile to monitor. So I think that just about pretty much all I can say at this moment. So how can I summarize this whole thing? I think I'm trying to talk to myself. I'm talking out loud about what I think, may clarify my way, and every single day have a way to align my activity related to that vision, which is based upon what I mentioned. And if I may just add, things change. But for now, I'm moving from Santa Monica to New Zealand to Japan and Hawaii. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I like the way I have this various culture, the value system, and put me into a different setting as if to shake my tree of how I'm living to see if it's still stable and, not so much of a disease crawling in and happening, but keep maintaining, not with the mind, but the mind also related to the heart telling, but because of the ability of my mind, how my mind can function in a healthy, effective manner to accomplish the mission. So, for example, I have shared the idea of the human way of how to align with the way of the universe. And then the AI is have been evolving in the direction of like an infinite wisdom and compassion. That's what I like to see and could happen. And if so, how the human society can relate to that. That to me is one of the major items that I'm wondering about and hoping that we can have a good relationship or the technological development without much failure, but the people, all of us, is responsible, not let the technology to take over, but in the direction of the mission of human being. May all beings be happy. And for that, we need to prepare ourselves, have the sense of this relationship to God or the nature's way or the law of nature, which is to go beyond the self, ego, and be able to see us evolving for the benefit of all. So, maybe very ambiguous, but that's the unreachable star, perhaps, because the process I see is hopefully never ending as far as we can posture, project, but anything crazy can happen. So let's find a way individually and collectively. But for each to do the job, without that, we are failing. But the failing is natural as human being, but to learn lesson and go through the PDCA and Shira Samadhi Panya. as individual and as a whole. That's the direction I see it to happen. Thank you.